So wait, I was just spraying a little bit of air freshener into the air, and as I did, I don't know if you could see it on the film, but I could see little tiny droplets in the air, and it went out into kind of, it looked like a, not a cloud, but it went out into the air in the classroom. And I know that from spraying this before, because I've used this kind of spray before, that if I go to different parts of the classroom, even if I go really far away to another side, I'm going to start to smell it, even if it's a little bit lighter. So when I put this into the air, it diffuses into the room, it spreads about. Nice. Well, I'll bet that you have had a similar experience where you've had something, maybe it's like an essential oil and somebody's put essential oil on something, and the smell, it doesn't just stay right by where you put the essential oil, it diffuses out, it spreads out. Same thing with some hand lotions, if they have a smell in them. So things with a smell can diffuse out into the atmosphere, into the room. And that's true with cooking too. So you might have experienced this with cooking when somebody's cooking something really yummy and you start to smell it in a different room in the house, and that kind of sends a signal to your brain and your belly that, dinner might be almost ready because it smells really, really good. So that idea of something starting one place and being pretty concentrated and then spreading out is called diffusion. And it can do it with smells. It can also do it with like it dropping the food coloring into water, and you can see the food coloring, the color diffuse out. It can also happen with ideas. You can have a diffusion of ideas. That's where you have an idea or an innovation or a way of doing something, and it spreads. So ideas can diffuse. Culture can also do that. Cultural things like ways of dressing, or maybe having specific kinds of earrings, or ways of wearing your hair, or favorite colors in the season, or whatever it is. Cultural things can diffuse too. So there's diffusion of ideas, there's diffusion of culture, there's diffusion of sense, and diffusion is used a lot in science and biology, that idea of having something that starts in one place, pretty concentrated, and then it spreads. So diffusion is all about something spreading. Now, in this art project, which I bet you're thinking I'm taking a long time to get to the art project, and I promise that's where this is going. In this art project, we're going to use the idea of diffusion, and we're going to use some special paper that I sent home in your packet. It might look like regular paper at first when you see it. It should be packaged up like this. So it'll say Diffusion Artwork, and it says Friday Art, and it has a little paper clip to kind of hold the special diffusion paper in there. So I'm going to unclip it. It'll have instructions for you to read. I'm not going to read them now. I wrote them. I remember what they said. So the instructions are here for you to follow. Make sure you do. I also included some tips to help this go a little bit better for you. But there is more than one piece of diffusion paper, so that you can try multiple times with different techniques, which I'm going to show you. Okay, so you have your diffusion paper. You're going to need some water. It's just a little bit of water. You might not even be able to see that there's water in there. We don't need a lot, but we need something to help the diffusion happen. So we have our diffusion paper, we have water, and then we have some markers. And hopefully you have some markers at home. Any washable markers will work. And the reason they need to be washable and not permanent is because washable markers can be washed with water usually. And so when water touches the marker, it kind of moves the ink. It moves the ink, and that's what we're going to want. We want the ink to be able to be moved, to be able to be diffused. Now, the paper, it's diffusion paper, and I bought it special. You can, if you would like to buy more, you can find it on the internet. That's where I found this paper. And you might be able to look really carefully and see that it's a little bit different than regular paper. Maybe you can't tell just by looking at it, but it's thin and it is a little translucent, which means, you know, light can shine through it. So these are nice to hang in the window when you're done with them because the sunlight will shine through it, and I think it looks pretty. But the other thing that's interesting about these papers is that the fibers that make up the paper are deliberately designed, like this paper is deliberately designed to allow things to diffuse, to allow water or something to move within it. So it doesn't try to stop it or anything like that, because there's some paper that's specifically designed to not soak up water or to not soak it up very well or to have a waterproof coating on it. This paper is designed to let the water move so we can see the process of diffusion. Now, I have purple, black, and brown here that I'm going to diffuse, and I chose these ones deliberately. You can use any washable color that you want. I like to use black especially, and if you've had me for a teacher before, you might have heard me talk about black and how black is made up of different colors of ink, and depending upon the brand name, this one's a Crayola, but there's lots of different ones. Depending upon the brand name of your marker, it's made up of different amounts of the different colors of ink. So it's not just black, but it's different ones in there, and we can see it through diffusion because the different colors that are in the inks diffuse at different rates, and so it actually, as it diffuses it, it separates it, and it's really interesting. So I chose black because black is always a good one to separate through diffusion. And I chose purple to see, let's see what's in this purple, what we can discover, and brown. Now, you're going to need to know that this is going to result in an abstract art. Since it's going to diffuse the color, if you make a specific shape, it's going to move it. So I really recommend doing dots or a pattern of dots or one dot at a time, just to explore and to watch the artwork happen. Now, in a minute, I'm going to move the camera so that you can see me doing a couple of these. One of the tips that's on your paper is to be careful about how much water you put on. If you put so much water on that it diffuses and the water reaches the edge of the paper, it'll bring that color right on out to the edge and you won't get to see it very well. So you really want to be able to see the edge of your watermark. And since the diffusion keeps happening for a little bit, I recommend putting some water on and maybe a little bit more, and then watching it for a little bit so that you can see how big or how small your diffusion area is, so that then you can make a decision about if you want to add more water. And again, there's more than one piece of paper so that you can try again, you can do more. You want to start with dry paper. You want to start with dry paper. If I start with wet paper, I mean, I guess it's still going to diffuse. It's just, it's not going to be quite the same. So try to start with dry paper. I'm going to show you on the bigger piece, just so I can show you a couple of different things to do and how some different things will look. The paper, when I touch the marker tip to the paper, remember I told you it was special diffusion paper, it will start to soak up the ink, so I don't need to press hard. Just lightly. don't want to push my finger onto the paper. I'm just going to use this to get some water, and I'm just going to drop it on. So that's one drop. That's 2 drops. I think I could put 3 drops. I'm trying to put them right in the middle. All right, now that's black. I made a little circle of tiny dots. And now I'm going to drop my water right into the middle. Or I'm going to try as middle as I can. 1, 2,